Josh, hello.
Hey,
How are you?
good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing with this thing. Kind of just a passion project out of boredom from uh, from
Yeah,
quarantine.
well, you got to start somewhere.
That's right. Okay. To the listeners and the viewers, they would know you from Rad Girlfriend Records, Raging Nathans,
Yes,
Dopamines,
yes.
Dayton, Ohio, uh, unofficial mayor, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, for a while,
Yeah.
I,
What's
I was kicking around for a while.
yeah. So, are you still in Dayton?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, one time I worked with this guy, and I told him that I was gonna run for city council,
Yeah.
and and I was like half kidding, but like
Right.
like half serious. And boy, he got real mad at me.
What? Just not
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if he thought like
making a mockery of city council,
I guess, man, but I was pretty serious. He did not like it, which made me want to do it even more.
right? And you ultimately decided not to.
I still think about it.
Hey, man.
I don't
How?
think I'd last very long.
Right. So, Raging Nathans, you guys put out music like you put out a new album like once a month.
uh, we're making the most of our time
Man,
together. I think
you guys are pretty prolific, if I can throw that word around.
yeah. I mean, that's a good thing.
Right.
It's a good thing unless your your songs suck,
Right. And you guys'
right? 'Cause
songs do not suck. Yeah.
then who cares?
Right.
Then you're just putting out a bunch of garbage one after the other, and it doesn't even it doesn't matter.
Right.
Which is it's also funny because we've been a band for a long time, but it was always a side project until maybe 2014 or
Hmm.
something. Yeah, pretty recently, 2015. And then when we started, even then, when we put out our first record, it was like 4 years before we put out another full length. And it's kind of only been recently where we've been pretty active.
Right. So you guys just put out a split. Is that out right now
Uh, the
with
one with
Reaganomics?
that one is it's out digitally, so like you can get it on Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube or whatever, but the records won't be here for another 2 weeks.
Ah, and you put that out, Rad Girlfriend and Red Scare, right?
Yep.
That's crazy. Have you got
Yeah.
has Rad Girlfriend put out splits or any other record with Red Scare before?
No, no,
No,
this is the first one.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was kind of unexpected.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've interacted with Toby from Red Scare for a while, but whatever. We just had an opportunity to make something happen, so we did.
yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I listened to your episode with the Dummy Room today in preparation. Uh, I didn't
Yeah,
realize that you guys put out or Rad Girlfriend put out the that Masked Intruder split.
yeah, that was Rad Girlfriend 10, I believe.
Damn, that's
Yeah,
wild.
it's kind of funny because I was looking. So I've been going through all of the releases that we put out, and I've been trying to set one aside of each color and variant that we did, and just like put it in a safe or something.
Right,
So I have a copy of it
right,
because I never kept. Dude, I just sell everything, and
right.
so I'm going through these records and I don't even have copies of certain records for myself. So I'm like, I literally the other day I had to order my own record uh, from Discogs.
Nice.
But the I found with the Mass Intruder record, the first pressing was 250 on black and 250 on purple,
Yeah,
and the purple ones when it first came out were going for like $80 on eBay.
right.
And so I found a bunch of, a couple purple ones that I'd stashed away in a box, and some of the second pressing where we did red, blue, yellow, and green.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, maybe I can like make some money, because I had more than a couple. I had like 3 or 4 of each. So I went on eBay and it was like, I mean, the purple one still sells for like $15, which is good for a 7-inch, right. But I was like, man, I missed. Just struck while the iron was hot,
Shit.
But I don't like, I don't know. It's hard for me to sell personal records and things like that.
Right. It's little pieces of you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I guess I always think that I might need it, or somewhere along the line it's going to come in handy.
Right.
So
help you cut off your seatbelt in case you're in like a car accident or something.
Yeah, man, you never know.
Yeah. Have you so you guys talked about that one for a while in the dummy room. Is there any release that you couldn't put out for whatever reason, like couldn't afford, or you already had your year figured out that you wish you could have put out?
This year? Or
No, no, just in general, like in the history of Rad Girlfriend. Something that you passed on.
So on a couple of these podcasts, I feel like I've told the same stories a couple of times. So there was a record that was supposed to be a Plow United Mikey Erg split 7-inch.
Yeah.
That eventually did come out on this label, Artistic Integrity, who we were gonna split it with. And this is years ago now. But one of the only records that we never did was that. And so what had happened was we had like agreed to do it with the band and with the other label, and everything was like fine. And I had made a Facebook post just kind of like announcing like some record. It was like early in the year. It was like maybe it was the end of the year, like December. I remember it was like wintertime. And so I think I was probably just making like what's coming up this year, like what we have in store.
Yeah.
And I remember I had announced that record, or like said that we were going to do it. And I got this like really nasty email from Brian from Plow United.
Yeah.
And talking about how, they'd like to do things a certain way, and like, why was I announcing this record? And I kind of wrote him back. I was like, well, you agreed to it, right? Like, right. I don't know what your problem is. But anyways, like, yeah, after being talked to like that wasn't going to happen with me. So,
right. Understandable.
So we dropped that record. That was one of the only ones we didn't do. We had a problem with that band, the Svetlanas.
Yeah. I follow them on Instagram, but I've never listened to them or anything.
Yeah, like, I don't. So like after we did they've been notoriously hard to work with. Any label that's ever worked with them doesn't work with them for longer than one record, because they're just, they don't know. I don't know what they think, man. But the guy started giving me problems. Like, I've worked with hundreds of bands,
right? And
we've put out over 120 some releases.
Yeah.
And like this guy like put like a copyright infringement claim on our Bandcamp because we had the record for sale up on Bandcamp. And I'm like, dude, like, wow. I could go into the whole story, but there's very few bands that like we don't work with, or like didn't work out. So those were two so basically I just sold the rest I was like, here, you can take all the rest of your records at cost. They were mad because the Dopamines record, Tales of Interest, and the Svetlana's record came out at the same time. Okay. And the Dopamines record got really good publicity. It got like picked up by, it got premiered by Noisy, like Dan Ozzie wrote about it.
Right.
And nobody wanted to touch the Svetlana's record. I don't know why. I sent it to, I had a publicist, and he actually did a really good job, this guy. But he sent it to Brooklyn Vegan. He sent it to all the big places. And Nick Oliveri was in the band, and or on the record, Right. And I think like they were counting on, just because like someone is famous in their band or something like that. Like they think that they're famous by proxy. So when no one gave a shit about that record, like they got mad at me about it. That's where it started. You know, and I don't know, man. I don't have time for that fucking bullshit.
Right. This is trying to have fun here. Trying to do punk rock
Well,
stuff.
I'm trying to have fun, but like, dude, I like kiss my ass. You know,
you
like talk to me first.
Right.
You know, like they didn't talk to me. They just like went straight for like, you know, they I had to take it off of Spotify, like digital. I had to. They basically wanted me to take down everything. Like the record didn't even exist after we had sold 500 copies of it. I was like, what the fuck is your problem, man?
Right.
I've never been treated like that by a band, but it doesn't matter because anybody who's worked with them, they all have the same story. That band's a nightmare. So whatever, fuck them.
That's wild. That's like I don't know. You hear about that with like big bands.
They think you're a big band,
right? Like,
but
Morrissey, I can understand being like,
look, man,
I'm gonna throw my dick around. Yeah.
Just because you hire Greg Hetson to record your record doesn't make you a famous band.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. That shit bummed me out because I'm not hard to work with, you know. Oh, so anyway, we did Rad Girlfriend 100, which was like the double compilation record, and inside of it was the first 100 releases, like pictures of them.
Yeah.
Except for that one.
Did you? Do you remember the number?
Look, you know, I used to be more sensitive about stuff like that. But like, I work my ass off, dude, and I don't rip anybody off.
Right.
See what you know what had happened was, so when you upload stuff to like for digital, and it goes on iTunes and YouTube and all this stuff, you'll get this thing from YouTube that says, you know, that if it's not owned by you or something, then like you can't like monetize it, so you can't make a ton of money off of it. If you're getting like 1 million views, but it's you have someone else's music, or you know what I'm saying, like you can't make money off of it.
Right.
And they tell you that. So what had happened was we had uploaded it, or we gave it to the distributor. They uploaded it everywhere, and it was out everywhere. And then they tried to put it on their own YouTube channel.
Oh, and it got flagged.
No, it was fine, but it gave them this message that said that we had already uploaded it, and that they couldn't make, you know, any money off of it if it reached like, which is like a standard thing. Like, what do they think they're not the fucking Rolling Stones, you know? Like, what do they think they're gonna make like $1 million or get 1 million views? If you look at the, you know, dude, we're a really small label, and I told them this. I laid everything out. I said like, you know, this is what we can do for you. This is what we cannot do for you, and this is what we will do for you. And and so like once he saw that, I just don't think he understood, you know, what was happening and why he was getting that message. And then the next day, dude, it was just, you know, take this down, you know, how, whatever, fuck it. Any other records that we didn't get to do? Yeah, I mean, we had gotten asked to do the new Screeching Weasel record.
This one that just came out?
Yeah. And somebody on the label had a problem with it, you know, and it just like, it wasn't worth it to me to get involved in, you know what I'm saying, and all of that. Like, I would have loved to have done it, and I shouldn't really give a fuck what anybody thinks about what I'm doing, but you know, as a close friend of mine, and I gave it careful consideration, and you know, so that was one that kind of sucked. You know, who wouldn't have wanted punk label to put out a Screeching Weasel record? That would have been cool. Trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. There's probably some other ones that could have happened, you know, but those are some interesting examples.
Right. The so I had Andrew Cabbage on. His episode's about to come out. He said that you're putting out the Caffeines record. Is that right?
Yeah, we helped with the last one with the no gods, no caffeine,
No
or
decaf.
no decaf.
Right.
Sorry, sorry, Andrew. Um,
Unforgivable.
I know. He's always been a real good dude to me, man. He's a friend of
Oh,
mine.
for sure.
And that's what this label's about. I really, it's like I would rather put out my friends' records all day than worry about, you know,
Bullshit.
trying to find the hot new thing or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, he asked us to help out with this, and plus, man, he's been there when I've needed him for help in the past too. Him and I did the Slights record together,
Oh, okay.
and we did. He helped with the Rad Company Raging Nathan's split 7-inch. So man, it's kind of like one of those things. You need if he needs help, if I need help, often we can ask each other for that.
Yeah, man. He's a good guy. He
He is.
he put out pretty much all of our releases so far, and it's
Yeah,
pretty
about to
cool.
be a lawyer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cabbage Esquire or whatever they do. Um, so you've been a record label for 9 years, right?
Yeah, since late 2011.
What was there like a series of events where you're like tired of messaging labels and dealing with them? I'm gonna start my own thing.
Yeah, I was in this band and we were doing our own thing, and we were putting out records. And actually, it's kind of funny because I think about that band now. It was called Rad Company, and we did a lot of cool stuff on our own. And that was just because and I was younger and I wasn't so involved in what was going on outside of my little scene. You,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like there was all this stuff going on. I mean, I've been going to shows for years, but they were all like local shows and like bigger shows. Like
Yeah.
I went and saw the Misfits or like whatever big bands were coming through.
Right.
And so I guess I didn't realize that there was kind of this mid-level world of touring bands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I just didn't understand until we had started this, like the Dayton Dirt Collective, and where it was like a DIY show space, and touring bands
Yeah.
would come through every day. I started to really understand what was going on then. But yeah, once we started putting out records, I guess I just couldn't get anyone interested in them, and the reviews that we were getting were not great, even though the band was good. And I go back and I listen to that stuff now and I'm like, this is good.
Right.
And the bands that we played with, like even the big, like the cooler bands that we played with, they all liked us because we were unique in the aspect of it wasn't just like, we called it pop thrash
Nice.
or thrash pop. It was just like, like really gritty pop punk, but with like sometimes we throw in some blast beats or like whatever,
Right. Yeah. Spice it up.
And it wasn't like everything that's people are listening to now or 10 years ago. It was a little bit different. I think because of that, it was unique and people liked it. So yeah, but anyway, I started to get bummed out when no one would help us put out records. But also what I realized is like, you don't really have any connections, right? You don't know these people. It's like the equivalent now of, when I receive, an email that's like, here's our demo. Will you put out our band?
And that's it.
And I listen to everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's stuff that I'm like, man, this is really good. But that's what it is. It's like, I think at the time, not only did I not know anybody, but I didn't realize, what it takes to put out a record. But anyway, so I just realized if it wasn't gonna happen for me like that, I was just gonna do it myself.
Yeah.
So that's where that came in.
Yeah. Yeah, man. From the outside, looking in, it seems like you're doing pretty well.
We've gotten into a little groove, I think,
Yeah.
of how to do things, and every once in a while a super cool record, will come out of nowhere, or an opportunity will happen, and that's the exciting part for me, is meeting, and going on tour was a big part of that, because
Right.
you meet so many people,
Yeah.
and if you click with them, and also people that you don't necessarily click with right away, if you're working with them, you're in constant collaboration and constant contact with them, and so you can become better friends through the process of putting out a record, which I like also. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going pretty well.
Nice.
I'd like to find. I was just joking. Who was I talking with? Oh, I was talking to my friend from John from Dead Bars, and he was asking me how the label was going, and I was like, it's going well, but I would really love to find our smash.
Right.
At this point, like I would love that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So if the universe like hears me, we would like to find our
Send Rad Girlfriend the Smash. Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Hell yeah. I'll be on the lookout for the Smash to send your way. What so have you always been in punk bands? Have you played in other sort of bands, I guess?
No other type of bands, man. But I was like, this is gonna sound silly, but I grew up with a very diverse group of people.
Yeah.
And we listened. I primarily listened to. I mean, I grew up on punk rock, and that was like the first stuff that I heard.
Yeah.
But the reason that I kind of ended up doing all this stuff in my later teens and early 20s, as opposed to like high school, where a lot of kids kind of do this, was because the people that I grew up with, man, my best friends, we all listened to like rap and hip hop,
right?
And I was really involved at that point in the 2000 and like early 2000s with just like the hip hop stuff that was going on in Dayton, and my friends, we were all freestyling. Like I could actually rap, man. I was pretty good. I know it sounds silly, but like,
man, drop some bars if you want, if you feel so inclined.
I'm a little out of practice,
okay.
But
I was in a rap group in high school.
Yeah,
dude.
I mean, the thing is, we had some serious people in our group, in our little crew, man. So like, in
serious
Cincinnati, one of our dudes, so his brother, our friend Jake, growing up, his brother, his name was BJ. His rap name was Unseen. Now, Unseen was part of the Animal Crackers in Cincinnati.
Okay.
It was like a group of like MCs and DJs.
Okay.
But BJ would battle, and he was on, I remember in high school, he had made it to the Carson Daly show.
Oh, wow.
Right. And he battled on TV to this dude, Breeze Everflowing. And, yeah, I mean, but I was on national TV, man. I remember we were all in the apartment, like turning on the TV, watching our friend, really kind of like start making shit happen. And that was our whole clique, like we sat around and smoked weed and fucking rapped and skated, and it was kind of like a hard as nails little clique, man. We really were. And it wasn't corny. That's the thing, is like,
right.
Like back then, it really like it was natural. Like I don't know, it's hard to explain, but there were these influences that were coming in, that were from people that were really doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like that were really kind of like playing show, like doing Scribble Jam. And I actually, I reconnected with Mr. Dibbs, and he was a DJ for like Atmosphere, and he's a DJ for like Run the Jewels and stuff.
Right.
And he's from Cincinnati, and he used to have this video called Scratchy Puncture. and it was just
That's
like
great.
a bunch of Cincinnati dudes doing wild shit, and like DJing but he was at a Raging Nathan show with his wife, and I kind of was like, yo, man, I was like, you probably don't remember me from all these years back, but like, we got talking about those days and the people that we knew, and since then, like we've kind of connected, and it's like, I don't know, man, all those people like were influencing what I was doing in high school, and there kind of came this point for me where I had to decide like what I really wanted to do.
Right.
Like, did I want to pursue playing in bands, or did I want to pursue like making like hip hop music, or what, and my decision came when like, like some of those battle rappers, man, are so good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the ability of people to come up with shit like that, and I just realized like, if this is what you pursue, how good are you going to be at it?
Yeah.
I don't want to, I never wanted to be corny or mediocre, or like, rapping in a cypher with your friend and like, saying some shit. That's awesome. But are you going to be able to be a contender? Like, are you going to be able to, and I think like in the punk rock world, I've worked hard enough to do that. And maybe if I had spent my time writing rhymes, for, 12 hours a day instead of like, playing guitar or going,
Right.
stuff like that, it would have been different. I can't imagine what this is going to sound like to people listening, but yeah, it's true though.
Yeah.
So,
Were there any real big rappers to come out of Dayton, I guess, or Cincinnati, maybe? I know,
well,
like,
Talib Kweli
oh
out of
yeah,
Cincinnati. Dayton, not really, not so much, but it's like there's it's like Dayton always got name dropped. Like there's like that. What was that song? It was Bout It Part Two, I think.
okay.
It was like Master P and like Cameron and all that. It was like, Dayton, Youngstown, Cleveland,
Yeah.
Cincinnati. Dayton was always getting these little name drops here and there because it's just a nasty place, man.
Really? Yeah, we've played in Youngstown at West Side Bowl. But that's and we played Iron Fest 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So with John Gerhardt, Black Arm John.
right, Black Arm John, and
He's a great dude, man.
yeah, it's a
Youngstown's like 3 or 4 hours away from Dayton.
yeah, it's but even Youngstown, it's like just driving around, it's like, man, there's some grime here, like good grime, like, storied
Yeah,
grime, I guess.
a lot of these cities are no joke, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like Ohio is how people think of like Texas as like a different country kind of deal. Like it seems like Ohio has that same sort of
Yeah, it can be a different world.
way
There's
about
a
it.
lot of like Dayton's an interesting place because it's pretty gritty, man. It was an interesting history because the city is like, it used to be segregated. Even to a point, it still is.
Right.
The west side is mainly black. The white side, or the east side, is kind of a mix. But then like the south is all like the suburbs. And the north, that's where I was. I was up north, like north of the river, and I don't know. It's just when you get downtown, it's kind of like a convergence of everybody. You know
Right.
what I mean? And there's like a history of like, so a lot of like the black neighborhoods now were like back in the early, like the 20s and 30s, were like Jewish neighborhoods, and the Jews got pushed. They weren't allowed to live in certain areas. It's like a really interesting history of the city. But when you get downtown and in those areas is where everybody is all together. It's wild, man.
Yeah.
I think most cities are probably like that.
Yeah, I think so. Like I'm in Mobile, Alabama. I don't know if you've had the pleasure of going through here. Like
we I don't know about Mobile. We would play Birmingham and shit. What's the other place in Alabama? Huntsville.
Huntsville. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This so we're like, if you're going from like Florida to New Orleans on the
Mhm.
interstate, we're right in the middle. But yeah, it's the same way of, it's like half. I think we're like half black, half white. Um, population wise, and then
Well, and that's the funny thing too is like you go to a big city and there's all sorts of different kinds of people.
right.
Dayton is like it's black, it's white. There's like a Hispanic population, but that's about it, man. You don't have there's not much diversity when it comes to people of color, or different like ethnicities and races, and in Dayton, it's kind of weird. I think a lot of Midwest places are like that.
Yeah. What's the deal with Skyline Chili?
Cincinnati, man, Cincinnati, yeah, love some Skyline.
We stopped in one last time we were up around there, and for people who haven't been to Skyline, it's spaghetti with chili, and then like an entire bag of shredded cheese, right?
Yeah, I mean that's like the classic the three way or whatever. But I only get like the conies.
Hot dog?
So
Is that a hot dog?
yeah, it's a hot dog with the cheese and onions and mustard and chili. And I think Skyline has like the cinnamon in the chili.
Cinnamon in the chili.
That's what makes it a little special.
But I remember like hearing the order in front of us, and they ordered extra cheese on the thing, and I was like, "Holy shit! How much cheese do you need?"
Got all the cheese.
All the
man.
cheese?
Yeah.
What's so you tour in normal, non-COVID world. You guys tour a whole bunch, right?
Yeah, I mean, as much as possible. I used to tour a lot with other bands, and as a fill-in guy or like whatever. But the Nathans, I really wanted to start focusing on the Nathans instead
Right.
of putting in time with other people. But all that time playing in other bands helped me, open the door a little bit for the
Right.
Nathans. But yeah, tour as much as possible. Now I'm coming to the conclusion that it needs to be worth it. It's hard to tour anymore if it's not, if you don't feel satisfied afterwards.
Oh, for sure. Right. Yeah, not just. Sorry.
Well, I have kids, and a
Right.
family, and to be away from them is harder and harder if you're not getting anything out of touring, if it's not benefiting you. If you're just playing these really shitty shows to 5 people, not
Right.
making any money, it's not that that's not worth it. It's just, is it worth it to be gone from my family?
Right.
You know what I
For sure.
mean? But with everything, I mean, that takes time. Some bands are lucky right off the bat, dude. Some bands make it. Some bands get taken out by bigger bands or get signed to a label or whatever. The Nathans are in an interesting spot because I think that we've worked real hard for the opportunities that we've gotten. We're just one of those bands. We're not gonna magically, be opening up for a big band. It all takes a lot of work for us.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons that we've been putting out so much music, because if we can't be on tour right now, we might as well be writing songs and putting out records, especially since I have the means to do it. Eventually I feel like we'll just put out enough records where people will stop ignoring us. Stop,
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Like you throw enough, you put enough out there,
yeah, man.
and maybe someone will pay attention as long as it's good. It's
Right.
like I said earlier, you can't just flood the market with bullshit. But if we're constantly putting out decent material, yeah, hopefully people pay attention.
Yeah, man, you got to keep ringing your bell, and somebody's going to hear it.
Yeah, that's what I think. I was actually just listening to Nate Albert from the Mighty Mighty Bosstones on Toby Morse from H2O's podcast.
Okay.
And so Nate Albert is like the executive vice president of Warner Records.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
yeah, he after he left the Bosstones, he like went to work in the music industry. And he said something that was really interesting. Something I don't remember exactly. It was to the effect of like, luck is like a wind or something, and if you throw enough, throw enough shit out there, like,
Right.
Eventually it'll start blowing your way. Or well, I don't know. I can't recall exactly what he said, but
Right.
it was kind of interesting because I got the point of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that sort of energy. Like I get that a lot just from talking to you right now, and also looking at, all the stuff you put out, and all the touring and all the, all your various band business. It reminds me of like how Andrew operates too, Andrew Cabbage, because he's always putting stuff out, and it's just constantly just like grinding with material in a good way.
I feel like I came to the conclusion that I have goals and ambitions, and there's things that I want out of this, but I also understand that you don't always get what you want, right?
It's
and
true.
so my solution to this is the putting out the records thing. If I can't be in a band that does the things that I want to do, then I'm going to put out records to still be involved in helping other bands do the things that they want to do, even if I'm just a stepping stone on their path to something else.
Right.
And also for the Raging Nathans, I feel like, and any music that I create, I'm going to put out as much of it as I can, because, and I don't want to sound morbid, but hey man, I don't know what could happen tomorrow, and I could get hit by a bus or whatever. And I got a kid, and that's really important to me that I leave. I mean, I got two kids that I think, I need to leave something. This is what I'm leaving. This is my legacy for people.
Nice.
And it's not so much people as it is like when I'm not around anymore. I think by listening to those records, my kids will be able to understand me or get to know me in a little bit of a different way than as like dad.
Right.
And I'm a pretty unconventional parent as it is. It's not like I'm not like my parents, or certainly,
Right.
But that's what I think about when I'm putting out records is what am I, what's my point here?
Wow.
What am I doing here?
Yeah.
And I guess this is what I'm doing.
Wow.
Because if I wasn't putting out records, then what would I do? What would I be doing? I'd be working.
Yeah.
And what? You raise your kids and then you die.
Right.
So at least this is something to fill in that gap,
Yeah. Wow, man. That's that sounds like a HBO documentary, in 30 years.
I think about this shit all day long.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't that was deep. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Oh, maybe I should have been a fucking philosophy major, man.
There's still time, man.
I don't think that pays very well. Actually, I got a really bad grade in philosophy because I started asking the guy about fucking like aliens and UFOs and shit, and where that plays into like the whole philosophical, and he just like totally, I think he thought I was like kidding. I wasn't kidding. It didn't fit his script,
Oh man, pushing these non-alien narratives in these colleges, man.
Just want to know what he thought about it.
Wow. Um, let's see. So we've done like 40 minutes here. Let's see. We did, as I said earlier, we did get a question in on my Instagram. Well, we actually got two questions, but it's from the same
Was
person.
it like what's his fucking problem or something like that?
Let's see here. Uh, okay. Okay. So the first question comes from House Ghost, the band. How are his pet turtles doing? How are your turtles?
Are my turtles doing?
Yeah.
They're good. They're so I have so the story behind it. So I have two turtles. I named them Stigma and Pig Champion,
Nice.
and uh, I we were on tour. We were in Los Angeles, and I was in Chinatown or somewhere. And this guy had like stacks of these little terrariums, you know,
Yeah.
these little tiny ones with these baby turtles in them. And I don't know what I was thinking, man. I think I was just like, if I don't, something came over. I was like, if I don't take one of these turtles or this box of turtles, like they're gonna die or like get eaten or something. So I think I paid like $10, and I took these two little turtles in this little plastic terrarium. Now this is crazy because so this is in Los Angeles, right?
Right.
Once the tour was over, I had to fly to New York City to play some shows with the Slow Death.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's like, "You're a fucking idiot. Why did you buy a bunch of turtles?
You got to fly.
You're gonna have to drive home. Like these things are gonna fucking die. Like what is your?" People were pissed, except for Dave Wiffler, um, who was like, you know, like our merch guy, and he was like, "Van pets, tight." And I was like, "All right, thank you for the support, Dave." So after I got the turtles, Nick's grandpa. Now me and Nick were the only ones who could drive because Jared can't drive well,
Okay.
and Dave didn't have a license, so it was just the four of us. And there was another guy too, but anyways, Nick got a phone call that his grandpa got sick
Yeah.
and was about to die, so he had to fly home from tour actually, and we finished the tour as a 3-piece instead of a 4-piece, and but this created a problem for me because that meant that I was the only person who could drive
Oof.
home
Right.
from our last show was at Gilman Street, and I had to drive from Berkeley or all the way to Dayton, Ohio, and I only had 3 days to do it because the day after that I had to get on a plane and go to New York.
Right.
So I fucking drove, you know, for 3 days straight, like stopping at car stops and just taking naps and just, I mean, I felt crazy. Like that shit changed me, dude. You know, I got home and I was like, I got out of the car and I was like seeing like the lines from the road and
Right.
shit. But anyways, so the whole point about it with the turtles is I fucking made it home with the turtles.
Damn.
I cared for these turtles and I fed them and I changed their water and shit. And I brought these turtles home. And the first thing I did when I got home was the next day I went and bought a fucking turtle tank.
Yeah.
And set up this turtle tank. And then the next day I went to New York. But the dumb thing that I did was I had called my wife and kids and I was like, guess what? Daddy's got turtles.
Oh man,
you know?
so you had to bring them home.
Oh yeah, and they were like, "What the fuck is the matter with you? Like, didn't you even consider that like these turtles are gonna die?"
Right.
And I was like, "No, I didn't consider that." So yeah, the turtles are doing well. They're huge.
So how long because turtles live for like 20 years.
About 3 years, 2.5 years,
Yeah.
something like that.
Wow. Wow. Do you plan on getting more turtles to?
No, dude, one pet. I've had so many pets, dude. No more no more anything.
Nothing.
No.
Okay. So we got another question from House Ghost, and it said, bleaching your hair again anytime soon. It looks pretty bleached to me.
I'm gonna shut up. He was just here. He just picked up all his House Ghost records. Bleaching my hair again. You shaving your head anytime soon? Again?
Oh man. One thing I want to talk about. So you guys, you've done a lot of touring with Wonky in it.
We did 3 tours with them. We did 2 in the U.S. and 1 in the U.K.
Yeah, that's one of those bands that's like the way he writes his songs. It's weird because like every song could be a different like punk genre or
almost different genre of music.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, we did a split 7-inch with them too.
Yeah. How'd you guys hook up with them?
Is also a funny story is that we were going to Fest one year in Gainesville, and we were gonna go with I think it was Not Scientists from France.
Okay.
We had been talking, and we had planned on touring down there together, and then I got a email from Tib that said like they had gotten offered a tour with I think Masked Intruder and the Copyrights or something, and that they were sorry to drop off, but and of course that's a much better much better shows,
Tough to pass up.
So then I got out of nowhere. I kind of got an email from my friend Julian, who runs Drunken Sailor Records, and he had just released their compilation record, the Feel the Wonkness, the Poisson Idea. And he just said that there's this band and they're looking for somebody to tour with because they're playing Fest. And would I be interested? And it just kind of worked out because Not Scientists had just canceled. And so I didn't know the guys at all. I didn't. And I was just like, yeah, fuck it. Like, tell them I'll drive. We'll do it, Right. And that was it. And the minute that they got into the car, it was like we just hit it off. So yeah, that worked out real well.
Damn.
I think that we're going to try and plan on doing it next October also.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird how, dealing with bands or communicating with bands works out because like you said, you didn't know these guys. It could have been
a nightmare. Yeah, but like very, very rarely,
right?
Do I not get along? Well, not that I don't know. It's very rarely that I've been on tour with another band that I've really not liked or had a distaste for.
Yeah.
So, and I think most of the people are kind of in it for the same reason, but there are definitely some annoying people on tour, but,
yeah.
I mainly try to get along with everybody. But those guys, it was different because, like, it wasn't just getting along with them. It was like, we clicked,
right.
Like, real good.
Right.
So.
Wow. Yeah, man. We've done 50-ish minutes.
Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah.
Are you you play music too, or?
Yeah, we're the Handsome Scoundrels. Or wait, play music like on the podcast?
No. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, man, I do play music. No, not really. I kind of just make it just a conversation.
Cool.
Yeah. Plug all your stuff. Plug your social medias and.
Oh, dude, I don't, hey, I'm Josh from Rad Girlfriend and Raging Nathans, and I'm pretty accessible, man. I mean, people, if you want to get a hold of me or buy some records or listen to one of my bands, like, people know how to do it. I'm not, there's no secret here.
Open book. Cool, man. Well, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for asking me. Good luck.